In order for a death row inmate to get his sentence reduced, a cold-blooded killer is turned into a cold-blooded killer who also happens to be a mosquito.
The is this?
Good evening, boils, ghouls, and however else you wish to self-identify. To the fright is this, the Goovy Fogcast, where we watch the baffling and the bizarre. And welcome to the second episode of our 2-month of Halloween Spooktacular Special. I'm your Crypt Keeper, Kaz Less Scared, and when I flip this switch, I will bring to life my undead co-host, Penisin Skin Grafter.
What the fuck are you doing, Kaz? brain fire bad.
Seamless.
Yeah.
Knocking that improv out of the park. I knew I could trust you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for blowing your speakers out in the first 2 seconds of the podcast there, folks. But yes, I don't care. I'm just so goddamn excited because it's Halloween. It's Halloween, except not really because it's still September.
Happy September, everybody.
Happy September-ween, everybody.
Hopefully you're putting together your Halloween costumes already, because Halloween is just a mere few weeks away.
Hopefully. Yeah, how's it going, Jameson? How you doing?
I can't complain. Just went to my buddy's wedding yesterday. Had a good time there. Yeah.
Do you have your year of weddings this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had mine a couple of years ago. Yeah, well, they always come all at once, don't they?
It seems that way. I've been fortunate enough to have friends who are getting married. Let me rephrase that. I've been going to maybe 3 weddings a year, for the last 4 years. Yeah.
Whoa, everyone's
getting hitched these days. Yeah.
It's because they know the end times are coming.
I know, right?
Yeah, they know.
Better lock this down before the meteor hits or the singularity happens.
That doomsday clock is just ticking, and they're like, I gotta rope someone into this before I end up.
'Cause I'm not dying alone.
Yeah. Not me though. Not me. No, I'm gonna be that guy that finds the tallest building. I'm gonna bring a lawn chair with me. I'm gonna be like Woody Harrelson in 2012, man. I'm just gonna be standing there and the tidal wave's gonna be coming towards me. I'm gonna be like, Vive la fucking France, man! And then I'm just gonna let it fucking take me away. What the fuck? We're born alone and we die alone.
Oh,
and
jeez, man.
Yeah, well, we got a little depressing here.
I was surrounded by friends and their family and a whole lot of goodwill and love yesterday, and here I am seeing you with your weird mad scientist impression and your doom and gloom.
It's the Crypt Keeper.
It was the Crypt Keeper.
It was the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah,
Which is a hard voice to do. It's now the entire rest of the podcast is going to be me having no voice whatsoever. Oh well, I did a vocal warm up before I came here, so I should be alright.
And it was just that laugh. Boys and ghouls.
I know. It was really hard to think of a Halloween pun for my name. Really tricky. I don't. If you can think of a better one, leave it in the comments or on our Twitter page, which we never talk about.
But it's there.
It's there.
And it's doing nothing but updating or just posting whenever the YouTube video goes up. We do not have a social media person. I'm hardly a social media person.
Well, because we don't have people.
No.
We don't have it's us.
Yeah.
It's us running this show. Well, let's introduce our guest. He is a good friend of mine. He's an actor. We've worked together on a variety of theater plays. Please welcome our guest, Zach Scott. Hey, Zach. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
You're the first person who has, since we've started this, who's commented on my Facebook feed and said, dude, I want to be on this. Everyone else I need to get on the phone and
we gotta bribe them.
Convince to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I have that distinction. I'm just so desperate to talk to people in a setting where other people might hear it potentially. It's really exciting for me. It's a big day.
Yeah, we didn't have to give you the hard sell or anything.
No,
easy
not.
get.
And I've never been on a podcast, so you're fulfilling a lifelong dream of mine, right?
Aw, great.
Yeah, it's a pretty big day for Zach.
Well, you're welcome.
We'll see if this dream becomes a nightmare or not.
You guys are like the John Cena's of podcasting. You're just making make-a-wishes happen left and right.
That's right.
We have no fun. In fact, until you commented, I wasn't aware that anyone was listening to this. So you've made my dreams come true. Is what's
awesome.
been happening.
Honestly, it's really
we may be losing our one fan here after tonight.
Yeah, never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
No, it's really great because I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh god, I've never been on a podcast before. And then I was like watching one of the episodes on YouTube, and I'm like, there's like 31 views on this thing.
Yeah.
It's great. No one besides us are going to hear this anyway.
31 views is one of the more popular ones. So
that one hit big. You had Paula on,
Yeah.
she's pretty big these days. So
yeah, that was fun. Zach, on this podcast, we watch strange, bizarre, baffling movies that make you go, "What the fuck are we watching?" What are some of your favorites?
Obviously all of the classics, like your Rooms, pretty much anything that How Did This Get Made has ever done. That's usually a good starting point. But I think, generally, I think my favorite in the realm of bad movies are the ones that are not necessarily like a Sharknado, but I love the movies that are really legitimately trying to be really good, like award season fodder, and I just turn out to be like self-indulgent pieces of shit.
Oh, those are
like
great.
The Book of Henry.
Book of Henry.
That's a nuts fucking movie.
Yeah. I was this might be a hot take, but I thought that Tree of Life was really, really masturbatory and just like a terrible piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh my god, have you? I didn't mind Tree of Life. Have you seen Song to Song?
No, but I remember reading your review about that actually because I thought it looked pretty interesting, and then I read your review and you just eviscerated
that movie. Pissed me off, man.
Yeah,
I get Terrence Malick's whole deal.
Oh, man.
I like some of his more self-indulgent movies.
Oh yeah,
that movie pissed me the fuck off. That movie made me so mad. I was steaming at the end of it.
I remember the vitriol.
You have to have some semblance of, if not plot, Terrence Malick, at least an idea, binding it all together. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get off of this.
You hear that, Terrence? You're on notice.
Yeah, that's right, Terrence. We know you're one of our 31 listeners.
He doesn't. He lives in a shack and he shoots people on sight.
He doesn't give a shit about what anybody thinks of him.
No. I get the feeling that's kind of the case. Yeah.
Also, we are in the midst of our Halloween special because we decided that. I decided, and then I forced Jameson along into it, that we were going to do 2 whole months of Halloween movies, because if they get to shove Christmas down our throats on November 1st, then fuck it, we should have Halloween all the way through September.
Yeah, you hear that? Fuck you, Christmas. We're putting you on blast. Boom! Making more enemies. Terrence Malick, Christmas. We're coming for everybody.
How many enemies can we make in just one episode here?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just going to say this also. We hate liberals and conservatives. We're playing both sides.
God damn. Just a nihilistic podcast that we got right here.
That's all the time we have for tonight on the
if there are no more episodes, it's because those death threats were actually made good. And
we pissed off everyone.
Terrence Malick, Santa Claus, and the liberals band together to
unstoppable force.
To bomb Jameson's apartment.
Thanks, guys.
I would watch the shit out of that movie. And that sounds like it'd be pretty
if I survive the ordeal, it's going to make one hell of a book deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What are your Halloween go-to classics, would you say?
Do you know what's funny? I'm not much of a horror dude, generally speaking.
Neither am I.
I'm the only one. I'm the only one here on this couch.
If I think of my favorite horror movie of all time, probably Cabin in the Woods.
Right.
I love
that's
that
more
movie.
of a satire.
And that is more of a satire.
Yeah.
But I don't know, horror's kind of having a minute right now, eh? There's a lot of really great stuff, your Jordan Peele's, your Ari Aster's, and then the It thing, and there's a lot of really great shit.
Yeah, horror goes through trends in the early 2000s. We were deep into that torture porn genre.
Hostel.
And what I'm really excited about right now is we seem to have moved past that, and now we're into really smart, independent,
psychological horror kind of stuff.
A24 is one of those movie studios that's really just killing it right now with...
No pun intended.
With your Hereditary and your Midsummer and what's the other one they do?
Hereditary,
The Conjuring or something like that.
No, that's not. But that's the other. That's the other thing too. Is James Wan, his whole wheelhouse. He's got his. When you first heard that The Conjuring was going to be a cinematic universe, you're like, man, what a cynical cash grab. They're not bad. They're actually all pretty good. They're all pretty decent. The Nun was all right.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 Annabelles are actually pretty decent. I was
going to say, is that a part of the same extended universe?
Yeah,
wow,
it's all tangentially connected to the characters in The Conjuring, who were real people. and were monsters.
Really?
Like,
Crazy.
I'm talking
Why?
okay, like, this is me reading something a while ago and then filing that away in the back of my head.
So
but
it's a little anecdotal
first of all...
Paraphrasing, like, what happened.
Yeah, first of all, they were frauds. Because
Okay,
it was
cool.
the two of them who did, it was like the Amityville house.
Right. That was those guys.
That was them. They went in and
okay.
they said, like, oh, this house is haunted, and they wrote the book, and it was like a massive fraud. But I do remember reading something once about how the man of the family might have liked far too younger women a little bit too much. And if I'm wrong about that, then I'll just edit this part out, and you won't
and we won't have to be sued
you
for
won't need to worry about that.
Will we sue for slander or...
Tonight, baby.
Yeah.
We're making
Amityville people,
Let's
you're
just
on the
keep-
list.
Let's just keep the list going. You know who I hate? Little dogs.
That's right,
Oh, boy.
Chihuahuas. Fuck you.
My place is going to be burned to the ground. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I get to
how
go.
aggressive this has gotten.
Yeah,
I get to
I
go.
don't.
I get to go home. It feels good. It feels cathartic.
Just getting it out there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yell into the microphone. I know you got one in the chamber. Just yell into the microphone. Who do you hate?
Right now, you guys, because you guys are making me a lot of enemies.
That's great. Add us to the list.
Yeah,
All right.
you guys to the list.
You hear that, us?
Zach and
Fuck
Kaz,
you.
like,
We're
yeah.
on the list.
All right. Well, we're just going to keep going with this. So, Jameson, tell us about the movie we're watching today, because it's another one of yours.
Yeah, today we will be enjoying the 2005 horror classic MosquitoMan, or Mosquito as it is sometimes known.
Yes, we got another movie with two titles. I'm more partial to Mosquito. I think that's just fun to say.
Also, because is this not a sci-fi? One of the sci-fi ones?
It's a sci-fi made-for-TV movie.
Right,
Yeah.
because, that's kind of their thing, like Sharknado. They
Yeah.
don't call it a shark tornado.
That'd be stupid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So Mosquito obviously seems like the right choice.
I have seen this movie. This will be my third time seeing this movie, and I hated it the first time because I just wanted to watch it. Then, like, my friend was over. He's like, "I want to watch the movie." Sure. Like, what is this piece of crap? Because I used to have the DVD, and I don't remember really enjoying it, but I'm like, sure, let's watch it. And then, like, oh, I hated that fucking movie. So, like, I want this to be the third and final time I ever have to see this piece of shit.
Put that to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
So what you're saying is, did it
Third time's a charm.
Well, did it get better upon watching it?
It confirmed a lot of my, like, did I really just watch this movie? Like, yeah,
right.
like, this couldn't, like, it confirmed how bad it was.
I guess my question is, I know why you watched it the first time out of curiosity, and you're watching it this time for the podcast. Why'd you watch it the second time?
There's something to do. kind of just like confirm my bias against
Just a
it.
rainy day, and there was like nothing else to do.
Yeah.
You couldn't go for.
But then you
walk.
were like, "Hey, we need another horror movie for the podcast," and I was like, "Ah, fuck."
This is the only
Only
one
when it comes to
the one I got in the chamber.
Yeah, exactly. So this is directed by a Turkish gentleman named Tibor Takacs. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I did look up the pronunciation. Apparently, you can say either Tibor or Tibor.
I prefer Tibor because that's the guy in The Simpsons who Homer blames everything on at the plant because he can't speak English.
Tibor?
Now, Marge, just remember, if something goes wrong at the plant, blame the guy who can't speak English. Ah, Tibor, how many times have you saved my butt?
That's a deep cut. I
Yeah.
don't remember that at all.
This man directed The Gate.
Yeah, he did.
Have you heard of that movie?
Oh, The Gate.
It is a classic. It's a Canadian horror movie starring a young Stephen Dorff.
Stephen Dorff's first movie.
And there's a lot of like really coolly, very welly. There's a lot of cool shots that are forced perspective. So most of the effects are really practical on camera, and they're just like these guys in weird monster suits, but like they're all done in camera, all practical effects, and it looks pretty cool, and it's very technically competent. And now I wonder what the fuck is this guy doing directing crap like this? And now he's making a lot of sci-fi
like,
stuff.
Whatever, man. I don't care. Just give me a paycheck and I'll show up.
Yeah, I mean, The Gate was at the beginning of his career, and as time. Yeah, I wrote down a couple of the names of some of the other movies he's directed. Just cherry picked a couple. Metal Messiah.
Fuck yeah.
I, Madman. Killer Rats. Kraken. Tentacles of the Deep. Ice Spiders. Mega Snake. And Spiders 3D.
Wow.
So this is his wheelhouse.
Yeah,
this
sounds like it.
Yeah, made for TV horror movies from the Sci-Fi Channel, you say?
Yes.
Do you think Spiders 3D is different than Ice Spiders?
Well, it's not Ice Spiders 3D.
In
Well,
3D.
I suppose, but I was like, is this a Jaws 3D situation?
Oh,
You
I
know
see.
what I mean?
You
Like,
drop the...
well, I'm like, why would you make a Spiders movie and an Ice Spiders movie? It just seems insane.
Again, for the paycheck, like
I
you
guess,
said.
Yeah, that's fair. This guy doesn't care about what he's doing.
No,
clearly,
God,
as long
no.
as he gets paid.
Only one way to tell. Coming next week, Spiders 3D. No, we're not fucking doing that. We won't be doing it.
So getting into the cast here, our leading lady is named Musetta Vander. She is a South African actress / model, and she's had a very storied career. She played Sindel in the Mortal Kombat sequel.
Which gives us the perfect excuse to play this clip.
Mother, you're alive. Too bad you will die.
She also played one of Kenneth Branagh's henchwomen in Wild Wild West. And another actor in this movie is a man named Corin Nimac. He played the title character in Parker Lewis Can't Lose,
Which is a sitcom that
I've
apparently...
never seen.
No, it lasted 72 episodes, and yet I have never heard of it before.
So maybe Parker Lewis
I-
can lose.
Parker Lewis can. I know Corin Nemec. I don't know him personally, but I know the name because when I was a kid, I had a lot of movie posters. And I didn't discriminate when I was a kid. If it was a movie poster, I just had it and I just put it on my walls. But one of the movie posters I had that I got from a movie theater, they were giving them out, was the movie poster for Operation Dumbo Drop.
Oh, yeah.
And the names on that poster went Danny Glover, Ray Liotta, Dennis Leary, the children's favorite, Doug E. Doug from Cool Runnings. And then the fifth name was Corin Nemec. And so a big part, not a big part of my childhood, but a part of my childhood was staring at that poster and asking myself the question, who the fuck is Corin Nemec?
Yeah.
I have no idea who that dude is.
And
Does
had
he
a-
not sound like a smuggler from Star Wars?
Corin
Yeah.
Nemec?
Like,
Oh my god, he
did
does!
the parsec run in
Yeah,
he
throwing
did
a couple
the
of
run in
apostrophes
13
in his
parsecs,
name there. I
and
have
then
Corin
Han Solo
Nemec.
did it in 12 and knocked him off the perch.
He's
so-
from the extended universe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
He's the character that everyone's forgotten
Yeah,
about.
he's in a bunch of books that like Disney just disavowed when they bought
Yeah.
the rights.
He's
to.
gonna get his spin-off movie.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
now
and then Corin Nemec is gonna audition for it, and he's not gonna
He's
get the
not
part.
going to get the part.
Well, now you can rest easy, Kaz. The journey is over. You're going to watch a movie that has Corin Nemec in it. And,
Yes, Corin
yeah.
Nemec.
And last name here is a fellow named Matt Jordan, who I don't think is an actor. The only thing I found about him was that he was like a soccer player, and I guess they just put him in this movie. He,
All right.
he plays the Mosquito.
Ah, all right,
Oh,
cool,
okay.
Great.
Obviously, you need good soccer skills to be
Exactly.
a Mosquito, right? Like that kind of goes hand in hand. A lot of crossover there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to mention something before we get into this, because I did my research on this movie as well, too.
Oh, fuck my research, right?
It's good research. You
Thank
said
you.
a lot of the things that I was going to say,
Thank
but
you.
there's one particular deep cut that I don't think a lot of people other than huge nerds like myself would probably get, and I wanted to mention it because it's kind of interesting. This movie has 4 credited screenwriters. 3 of them are just dudes who have done other sci-fi movies.
Yep.
The 4th is a gentleman named Boaz Davidson. Now, Boaz Davidson is a fairly influential Israeli film director. In Israel, he's known for his iconic teen sex comedy, Lemon Popsicle is the name. It went on to have 7 sequels,
Oh, God.
of which he directed 3, which were called Going Steady, Hot Bubblegum, and Private Popsicle. So it's like the Israeli equivalent of American Pie, basically.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I
wow.
was thinking.
When he came to America, he hooked up with the legendary schlock studio Cannon Films,
Nice.
and he remade Lemon Popsicle under the title The Last American Virgin.
Oh,
And
wow.
and you can learn a lot more about Boaz Davidson and just Cannon Films in general in the fantastic documentary Electric Boogaloo.
I've been meaning to watch
which
that.
is so good and it's so interesting. You learn so much about these 2 crazy film producers who came to America and just produced some of the best, worst movies ever.
Most of like Charles Bronson's filmography.
Yeah,
They made one of the Superman.
They made
sequels.
Superman 4: Quest for Peace.
The bad one, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cannon is legendary. So Boaz Davidson, he hasn't directed any movies since '95. He works regularly as a writer and a producer. As a writer, he stuck mainly to the cheapy monster movies, such as the one we're watching today. Other movies he's written are Spiders, Crocodile, Octopus, Spiders 2 Breeding Ground, Octopus 2 River of Fear, Crocodile 2 Death Swamp.
Spiders 3D.
Yeah, Ice Spiders.
I don't actually think he wrote Spiders 3D.
Oh man, the super group of a movie like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
Alien Hunter, Predator Man, the aforementioned Tibor Takex directed Killer Rats and Mega Snake, and in the same year Mosquito was released, he wrote Larva, The Snake King, aka Snake Man, and Hammerhead, aka Shark Man.
Wow.
So this guy's an animal lover by the sound of it.
And as a producer,
and a very creative titler for what it's worth.
A lot of these started off as like Animal
Man,
thing,
or,
and then for the
or
DVD,
Mega Animal.
he hasn't touched any of the Mega Animal franchise. That's its own thing. That's the Asylum.
Yeah,
This is sci-fi, and the Asylum is its own thing. I'll just really briefly. As a producer, everything that I've just mentioned are all, like schlocky sci-fi stuff. As a producer, his name is attached to movies like Brian De Palma's The Black Dahlia, The Hitman's Bodyguard, Rambo 4, Righteous Kill, Brooklyn's Finest, The Expendables 1, 2, and 3, a massive collection of Nicolas Cage movies, including Drive Angry, Bad Lieutenant, and The Wicker Man, and he was a producer on a little movie that I know you know and love, Jameson. Shark Attack 3 Megalodon.
Oh, fuck yes.
I looked at him I have to mention that.
I love this man.
I have to mention that.
Thank you for all that you've given cinema there. What's his name?
Boaz Davidson.
Boaz, you're all right in my book.
What a wide array. Like, he goes to some, fairly legitimate movies.
Very cool, right?
Yeah. And
he's
got some shit.
Taking full advantage of that executive producer, just like, can I be on this movie? Yeah, sure, why not?
He's got connections.
Right
and he just loves making these schlocky pieces of junk. And speaking of which, let's check this one out.
Without delay, yes.
We'll see you after the break.
Welcome back, everybody.
That movie really sucked. Oh boy, that screenplay sure did bite.
How many writers did you say this movie had? Four?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it could have used a lot more. Oh man,
that have made it better.
4 was not enough. I don't know.
There was no salvaging that.
No.
Jesus.
I mean,
my God.
I don't really know what any of us expected with a sci-fi original movie called Mosquito Man.
Yeah. I do think I expected pretty well that, in all fairness.
What I will say is we don't do like a ton, no movie we have done on this show thus far has exceeded 2 hours. They're all under, a lot of them are within the hour and a half, hour 40 mark. This movie was an hour and 32 minutes. We've watched a lot of movies that are around an hour and 30 minutes that feel like they go on for
4-hour movies.
Yeah, going on for an eternity. This was a quick watch.
It was a pretty brisk watch.
That is the one thing it's got going for it. It just
clicked along,
got right to it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that you can say. Literally 10 minutes in and he'd already transformed fully.
Yeah, you see the monster after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And like I remarked, it took The Fly the entire movie for you to see the final creature at the end.
Yeah, they blew their load so fast in this movie.
You'd think they were, do you think they were proud of the Mosquito costume? Because they show it a lot.
Oh my God, that thing was so prominently on display. It's
I know.
Insane.
I mean, for the budget that they were working with, good job.
I guess.
It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. It looked like a man mosquito going around.
But it was like a terribly low-rent version of Alien.
But that's everything.
It's a dude in a rubber suit, and he's got one claw arm and one that has weird fucked up fingers, and he's this sort of hunched over looking mosquito. And, a proper horror movie would have kept that, kept the audience from seeing that until the very end. But no, they're happy to show us this guy in a lot of very lame kills.
Oh God, so many lame kills. It
was all basically the same kill over and over again. There were a few variations. I'm just gonna make this statement. I much prefer the fact that it was a man in a rubber suit.
Yeah.
Men in rubber suits all the way for these type of movies.
Yeah.
And, you know what? I also don't hate the fact that we saw a ton of him, because if I'm sitting down to watch a movie called Mosquito. Yeah, I want to see as much of that Mosquito as possible. And this movie did truly deliver.
And I think there's something to be said for the fact that I think you're right, rubber suit good, because when they went to CGI, it was even worse.
Once he grows the wings and you see it like, oh, that looks bad.
It took him a really long time to get wings, and I guess he had to...
earn his wings.
He had to earn his wings. Yeah, every time a Mosquito horribly disembowels somebody...
The Mosquito gets his wings.
That same Mosquito gets his wings.
Alright, before we get into this plot, I feel like we need to address the obvious thing here. Like, I'm no mosquito scientist like Dr. Sindel or anything like that. But the one thing that I do know, the one thing that I feel is pretty rudimentary knowledge for most people is the fact that male mosquitoes don't suck blood.
Yeah, they're not the blood suckers.
So right off the top, I'm calling shenanigans on this movie monster.
Yeah, the science is that they didn't do their homework on this one.
Apparently male mosquitoes actually get, juices or sugars or something from plants. So I think the movie would have been so much better if he was just going around viciously assaulting trees in the park or something like that.
And instead of like a detective on his trail, it's like a botanist.
Or exactly.
Just drinking like lemonade by the gallon and like... Yeah, but that was the crossbreed. That was the man portion of the Mosquito.
Yeah. I also thought, just for the record, I thought the ratio between man and Mosquito was very skewed towards Mosquito. Almost immediately. You know what I mean? Like, there was no
I mean, he walked like a man for a good portion of the movie.
That's true, but there was very little man left. Unless we're counting his psychopathic rage and desire to kill everyone.
There's literally a line of dialogue in the movie where someone says,
He's more mosquito than man by now.
But, the Mosquito is the guy who's, sucking all the blood. The man, and it was it was a psychopathic murderer who became
man was a serial killer.
He was still, chopping people's arms off and legs, totally unnecessary to do, but he still had that bloodlust. And,
it was incredibly gratuitous.
The best kill was when he did the side swipe of the guy's entire skull.
That was cool.
And then half of his face fell off, like Resident Evil style.
Should we go over the plot, as so much as it were in this movie?
Might as well. We're here. We have the microphone on.
Yeah.
It is the concept of the show. Well, I don't know. You're the
sure.
You're the Mosquito expert here.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Third time certainly was the charm here.
I mean, if you've seen a science experiment gone wrong story, you've seen this. Basically,
every trope that exists in one of those movies.
The first 10 minutes of the movie are just cliche after cliche.
Yeah, the entire thing is terrible.
Have you ever watched the origin story of a Spider-Man villain? You've seen this movie just without Spider-Man. And there you go. You've seen Mosquito. See you next time.
Yeah. Seen the Mosquito Man. So it's some murderer on death row in exchange for a reduced sentence.
His death sentence.
Of his death sentence, however that works. Yeah. He goes to some science lab.
It's a pharmaceutical company, so it's not even like it's government run. It's like Shoppers Drug Mart reached out and was like, or Bayer or something reached out and was like, if you give us a murderer, we'll experiment on
I just
him.
imagine a cop going to the house of a sweet little old lady, and she's all like, I haven't seen you in so long, detective. And she sits down with tea, and the detective is like, what? There's something clearly troubling you, detective. What's on your mind? And he looks at her. I'm afraid your son's killer, his death sentence has been reduced. Whatever for? He got bit by a bunch of mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And now it's life and prison. He'll be out in 20 years.
Yeah. A little bit of backstory. It's always just mentioned periodically that there is a super virus that is West Nile virus times 10. That's sort of
the Gillen virus.
The Gillen virus is.
I believe they said that it kills 1,000 times more than West Nile.
Yeah. So the threat is real. It's like
nice round number there.
Yeah, it's like when The Force Awakens had here's the Death Star, and here's the new super weapon for the new generation. Yeah.
Pretty convenient.
West Nile virus 2.0.
And their logic for getting rid of all of these new killer mosquitoes.
It's to send chemically enhanced mosquitoes.
More mosquitoes.
Yes. Yeah. To counteract the virus or whatever.
So, we got all of these snakes everywhere. let's set loose all of these mongooses. Well, now there's mongooses everywhere. Well, good, because we train all of these gorillas to kill the mongooses, and we'll just let them... Yeah, it's a self-perpetuating problem!
But they're not going in the lady who swallowed the fly direction, because they're just releasing more mosquitoes, as opposed to something to kill
Fight fire with fire,
Exactly. If anything, it's more efficient.
Takes a mosquito to kill a mosquito.
How were more mosquitoes supposed to stop mosquitoes.
Well, I guess the thought being that, like, the neutral mosquitoes will go out there
the
and...
ones who sided with man,
I guess fuck like crazy into the mosquito population and, like, neutralize the disease in the other mosquitoes, and then all of those mosquitoes will bite people, which will, I guess, take away the disease from people they bite.
But if they...
None of the science of this movie is well thought out.
Are you a mosquito scientist?
No.
That made a lot of sense to me.
But
I'm just saying,
a mosquito advocate.
If you have like the cure or the counteractor to it, why don't you just go around inoculating people as is?
Yeah.
Why do you have to like contaminate these other mosquitoes to do it? Why don't you just like, hey everybody, we have a cure, line up for like your annual like cure shots or whatever?
Yeah, but then
why do you gotta have mosquitoes involved in it?
Because then this whole plot wouldn't work.
That's true. Yeah,
That's why you
point.
have to have mosquitoes involved.
So, Dr. Jennifer, whatever the hell her name is.
Dr. Sindel.
Sindel.
I mean, first of all, the entire movie is a flashback. Because we start with Bobo Jamie Lannister sitting at his desk writing up a police report for this whole thing in retrospect.
You said Bobo Jamie Lannister. I wrote down he looks like karaoke bar Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then every so often when the light hits him right, he looks exactly like Judge Reinhold.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
With an emo haircut that I just...
emo Judge Reinhold.
Oh yeah, with Squall's haircut from Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
yes.
It is the Edward Furlong, like, bangs constantly in his face.
Oh,
It's not a cop haircut at all.
But it just lets you know that he's brooding.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very broody haircut.
And also, without knowing who Corin Nemec is, without knowing that he was the child star of a famous 80s or 90s TV, I have no idea when that, of a TV show, a child star of TV, you take one look at his face and you go, oh, that guy was a child star. Because he's got that thing where he's a human man, but his face hasn't aged at all.
Yeah.
He's got Haley Joel Osment syndrome.
He's got that boyish good looks and that boyish hair.
He's maybe aged a little better than Haley Joel in all fairness.
Oh man, I feel
rough.
so bad because everything I read about Haley Joel Osment, he seems like the nicest dude in the world. He's a weird looking motherfucker.
He looks like a fucking hobbit.
He looks very strange.
He's got weird proportions. He's oddly squat.
It's like someone photoshopped
full face.
Like
his 12-year-old face
onto
his
a
35-year-old body. It's true. It's very odd.
We're talking about Haley Joel Osment because it's way more interesting than this fucking movie.
We're gonna go on a lot of tangents because if we just talked about Mosquito,
it'd be over in like...
This would be the shortest episode ever.
So, the death row guy, he breaks free of the prison transfer and he holds Dr. Jennifer Sindel or whatever hostage, and, through like some cockamamie, like happenstance, he falls into the lab and gets exposed to like the mosquito virus, and he slowly transforms into the Mosquito Man. And that's and she also gets contaminated too, and that's sort of like the B plot to this movie is her slow transformation.
Several things we gotta talk about like this opening 10 minutes. First of all, don't you love these underground science facility labs that are clearly just shopping malls?
Yeah.
Like you walk that, they walk down the hallway to the security desk and there's killers
and
everywhere.
You pass a fucking Reitman's or something.
Yeah, it's like you could tell they wheeled the kiosks into another room.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a feeling most of the sets in this movie were the one big abandoned Budapest shopping mall that they were able to get. Because at one point in time, we're at the main cop's apartment, and Dr. Sindel goes into the bathroom, and there's a soap dispenser on the wall.
And two sinks, yeah.
Can you imagine the real estate agent showing him, it's a nice apartment, you got a great view of the city.
Is that a urinal in the bathroom?
Two sinks, soap dispenser comes with its own soap. You do have to keep filling up the soap dispenser. There's one of those push button blow dryers, but it's broken.
Yeah. The sinks are automatic, motion censored and everything.
What else? Also, this is something that we noticed really early on. So there's the cops transporting the criminal to the science lab, and all the criminals and all the police officers are male, but the two scientists we see are both women. And
both hot women, like a scientist is.
Hey, well, it's 2019. Hot women can be scientists.
I'm not saying they can't be. I'm just saying that, these two women are...
Hot women have always been scientists. Cindy Crawford has got a PhD in chemical engineering or something. But, no, Zach, you noted super early on, within minutes of this movie starting, this movie completely passes the Bechdel test.
Yeah.
Because it's two women experimenting on mosquitoes, not talking about men or boyfriends or anything.
And it does it in the first 10 minutes.
There you go, Mosquito Man. You're a progressive movie.
And then one of those women is subsequently killed like 2 minutes later.
Yeah,
and then I just started to identify that other lady as the woman in the movie, because literally
there are no other women in the movie.
There was only that one frantic cop who said,
It's not my blood. It's not my blood.
who was a woman, and besides that, every other character in this movie was a man. Except for her.
Yeah.
There was the ex-girlfriend who moved on with her life and then was also murdered by
by
Mosquito.
Yeah.
So
no other woman had more than about 3 lines before they were subsequently murdered in this movie.
I also love when the two lady scientists, because I could just say scientists, when the two scientists are doing their experiments on the mosquitoes, Dr. Sindel starts off this big chunk of dialogue by saying,
You see, this is just one of a series of tests we're conducting using radiation.
As you know, we have to she works at the same fucking lab doing the same goddamn job you are.
Doing the test with you right now.
co-wrote the paper with you on this.
What was that other line that she said to her supervisor, the guy who was running the lab?
We are working around the clock to make certain that all our results are positive. Do you not think that we want to find a cure to this virus?
Come on, Jennifer, the results are very positive.
They're not ready, Aaron. We haven't even tested them on humans yet.
You're right, we haven't even tested them on humans. Yet.
It's a shame because I was number one.
4 writers, you say?
4 writers. Number one, I was really sorry that didn't turn out to be a runner. That character just repeated
the last thing that was said.
Verbatim, the last thing that they said. And also, I was just genuinely disappointed that guy wasn't in the movie more.
He was my favorite character.
He was like
hands down.
He was like the second person to get killed, which was a shame. As we were watching this, I took a peek at his IMDb. The first 2 credits that pop up are The Dark Knight Rises and the Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dennis Rodman movie Double Team.
Double Team.
I'm all like,
Double Team.
good 2 credits. I'm behind this guy 100%.
Well, and I think it's funny because I feel like you can see that in his performance. Like, he gives so little of a fuck. I feel like his subtext is, I was in the Dark Knight Rises, and now I'm doing this shit.
Well, this movie
I gotta pay for
predates
that boat somehow.
I think this movie predates The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
It certainly looks like it.
Also, to be fair, everyone was in The Dark Knight Rises, so
that is true.
Fair enough.
That was an odd character. Like, later on, when she's looking at the ruins of the lab, doesn't he personally hold her responsible for ruining the project? It's like, the convict escaped and he killed people.
The convict that you brought here to do tests
you're blaming her for
will. Ended up escaping and causing all
government
this
contracts
mayhem.
are hard to come by. That was a one-of-a-kind machine.
Yeah.
And you ruined me. She did nothing of the sort. She was a victim.
They also appear to have a 20-story building for this pharmaceutical company, and there's this one explosion in this one part of the lab, and we're shutting it all down. It's all done. Just go away. It's over.
There also appear to be just those 2 scientists in all of the entire lab.
And 20 security guards.
Yeah, who are shit at their job because they let the guy run around and murder everyone.
Yeah. They let anybody just walk through after hours.
So they get blue goo all over themselves. They get the liquid that they show in commercials for maxi pads all over them. He gets it all over him and he immediately turns into Mosquito.
Yeah.
And
she gets a little on her wrist and slowly throughout the movie doesn't fully turn into the Mosquito.
No, spoiler alert, she never goes full Mosquito woman herself, which is one of the many disappointments I found with this movie.
I agree with that.
We needed Mosquito on Mosquito action near the end, either of the fighting or fucking variety.
Yeah. This movie would have been 10 times more erotic if she had gone full Mosquito at some point along the way.
We should explain that, while Mosquito's going around sucking people's blood, he's waiting for Dr. Sindel.
This is what
he's waiting for her to transform so they can mate.
So they can fuck.
They can fuck.
And I haven't done the research on this, but I bet mosquitoes lay eggs. I bet they don't fuck.
But Mosquito does.
That's
the best.
Fucks. I wonder if his penis is as retractable as his sucker tube.
Right.
I don't think mosquitoes have retractable
sucker tubes.
Yeah, that's just part of their.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not a scientist like
not
Dr.
a mosquito
Sindel.
scientist. Yeah.
We haven't talked about the cop yet.
The main
character.
Jamie Lannister. We did a little bit. So Detective Parker Lewis, who has a very intimate relationship with his partner.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Okay, so this movie doesn't really establish, backstories and character relationships at the beginning, because we see Detective Parker Lewis, kind of in the wraparound thing, saying like, this thing happened with Mosquito. Let me tell you all about it.
Never could have imagined that such a routine transfer would bring my entire life crashing down around me.
Then we see, the accident that turns him into Mosquito, and we see Dr. Sindel at the lab, and then when the cop shows up, we learn in very short amount of time that he's dating the head scientist. He's dating Dr. Sindel.
Well,
they are a couple.
And it's so weird, because at the end of the movie and throughout the movie, he talks about how much he loves her and how important she is to him, right? So you would assume that these people have been dating for a while. Yeah. But yet he talks to her and he comforts her and kisses her forehead way too many fucking times.
Did you get the final tally?
It was only 5, because after that,
he stopped after
only,
a while.
But he made sure to get 4 of the 5 in the first scene that they were together.
There was a 30-second burst. But he's talking to her and he's comforting her, and then he goes, okay, and then he walks away with his partner and he goes, it's my girlfriend. Yeah. Wouldn't you fucking know that if this was your partner and if you've been with this woman for however long?
But he picks her up from the lab, and, she's all shaken up because the killer tried to kill her. We also didn't mention the amazing coincidence that this killer who's broken in and turned into Mosquito also happened to be a serial killer that he himself put away.
Yeah, they have a history, and so when the Mosquito starts going on a killing spree, he correctly assumes that it's their guy, but this guy's MO doesn't add up,
But he just coincidentally happened to go to the very science lab where that detective's girlfriend is also the head Mosquito scientist.
Also, when MosquitoMan first kind of staggers away from the lab and he's just doing the District 9 thing with the prawn hand, he just, the first place he staggers to, coincidentally, just happens to be the bar where his ex-girlfriend is working currently.
And that was weird, too, because there's this setup where Mosquito is looking through the window, and we see him looking at a server who's going around, and then she goes over to one of the bartenders and she gives him a little peck. Yeah. And then later on, we follow that woman home back to her apartment where Mosquito has broken in, and in a very quick burst of dialogue, we can ascertain that, they used to date or they used to know each other. You would assume, however, that his rage at seeing her kiss another man while he was in jail would be the driving force that turns him into Mosquito.
No, it's just a slow transformation. That cultivates when he breaks into
So why have that setup where we saw her kissing another man?
I know.
It's just the weird thing where you have to pay a lot of attention during this movie because they're so indiscriminate in terms of how they treat their characters. A character arrives on screen and you have no idea if this is a main character or if this is somebody who's going to die in 30 seconds. There's no intro to anybody. No. You're just thrown into this.
And the movie doesn't give a shit either because you would assume that the guy who ran the lab would be the main human antagonist throughout the entire movie. And he dies in his second scene of the movie. But he's billed as he's kind of an important character, I guess. And no, he's not.
Also, this is a question I want to ask either of you. If you were to come home to your apartment and say, someone you knew was inside and asking, what the hell are you doing there? And then in front of your eyes, they began to contort and transform into a hideous monster. Would you A, run like hell, or B, lie down on the couch?
I'm going to say probably lie down on the couch.
Yeah. No different.
It was a stupid question to ask.
No different than what this woman did.
Just to be clear, I have been in this exact scenario about 4 times, and without fail, I've laid down on the couch.
Right. Yeah, and it's always worked out great for you.
So far, so good. So far, so good.
They just go and they make you.
Why mess with that winning strategy?
Exactly.
Yeah. But okay, so we got a bit off track. So Detective Parker Lewis takes Dr. Sindel back to his apartment.
Yeah. She doesn't tell him. She doesn't tell anyone that she got exposed to the mosquito virus.
She's a very bad scientist because clearly it's clear from minute 1 that she is exposed and
she's noticing the transformation.
She needs to go into quarantine. Is what happens because she doesn't know what's going on, even without the knowledge of her knowing that there's a mutated mosquito out there killing people. She must know that she's infected with something. So there are quarantine procedures at all science labs.
Is she worried that she's going to get in trouble if she tells anybody?
Maybe, but and this is jumping a little bit, but I find it so funny in this movie where later on, when she finally starts to acknowledge that something really is wrong with her and Bobo Jamie Lannister is like, what's going on, right? Her whole thing is I don't know, there's nothing going on. Well, so I might be like transforming into a mosquito. Actually, I don't really know.
I got a thing for blood now.
Like
I can smell
so
things
weird
better.
That's her first jump in logic. Is like, okay, actually, when I think about it, this might be happening.
Yeah,
I might be transforming into a giant
don't
mosquito
get
right
mad,
now.
but
Don't quote me on this.
Now, to be fair, have we not all been in situations where, say, you wake up, you go about your day, and then a few hours into the day, you realize that, I don't know, your arm hurts. And then but you know, like, you got a list of shit that you gotta get done. So you just say to yourself, it's probably nothing. And then the week goes on, and then it turns out you have, like, gangrene of the arm, and you should have gone in, like, much earlier. I feel like that's a very human thing to do.
Yeah.
To, like, sometimes that cough that you have is something that you should have gone to check out. Other times, you get doused in experimental mosquito goo.
And slowly turn into a monster.
Yeah,
as
she
you do.
had other things to do, you know, like she had like Pilates like later that week, so who's to say? You know, we're all human, we all make mistakes. So the thing I keep trying to get to, and then we keep going off on tangents, which is fine. So they get back to his apartment, and she's in the bathroom washing all the goo off of her, and he's on the phone, and he's talking to someone, and we hear him.
You do that. Just give me a call on the cell. Stay here at night. Yeah, you too, baby.
And so we barely know anything about these characters. So my first thought is that, is he married and Dr. Sindel is his mistress? No, he's talking to his male cop partner.
Yeah.
Which, number one, is fine. I'm totally for that. It's just, again, slightly more progressive than I was expecting Mosquito to be.
Well, and here's the thing: is that at first, like we assumed it was a partner or something. He was cheating.
But no, it's his legit, like,
morning,
cop partner.
His cop partner calls him back and calls him honey first thing on the phone.
It's Randall.
Morning, honey. Coffee's ready.
And here's the thing: is it's clear they don't have a romantic relationship in any way.
No, it's just a thing.
Just a bro
yeah,
thing.
But there's like zero trace of irony when they do it. Like it seems completely genuine.
Yeah, I used to do that with my friends, like around the time like I was in like my 20s and sharing a house with like 3 other people, you know, like just like broing it up. But every once in a while we like to just like slip in like an occasional like, love ya. And, you know,
Totally.
just for fun, because it's fun to, you know, fuck with like the one friend that's not on the same wavelength as you.
Yeah.
You know, like you're playing Xbox and he's all like, later babe, and he's all like, bye.
Love you.
And then
All of those have a trace of irony.
Yeah.
And
then fucking Mark is like, what?
Yeah. But no, these guys, like, it's strictly professional but just call me honey.
Just call me honey. But then they drop it, and they don't, it's only in those 2 moments, and then they don't carry it over through the rest of...
Well, hey, look, man, they're professionals. There's like 17 corpses at that
There's
point.
a time and a place.
There's a time and a place. This is not that.
And I just got, like, maybe it's just me, but, like, whenever, like, the cops are on screens and they're, like, looking at the crime scenes, the movie drags because it starts to treat itself like an actual, like, detective movie.
It starts to take itself a little
too seriously. They're like,
seriously.
let's get this out to forensics, and you know, like, well, this doesn't really match his MO. And I'm like, you're in a goddamn mosquito movie.
But then also they're going through all the bodies. Yeah, this doesn't seem to quite match his normal MO. And so you're saying his normal MO isn't to drain all of the blood from his victims in like a 2-inch diameter puncture wound through the chest.
Like,
how is that not
the
picked
pacing
up
is
on?
different. Like, everything kind of just slows down to it. Like, it almost treats it like it's a real fucking movie. And I don't know if that's like one of the 4 fucking screenwriters who 2 of them thought they were making a cop movie and the other 2 thought they were making a monster movie. And then like something got messed up in the print shop.
I thought that was a missed opportunity though. Because Mosquito's MO is he's going his mosquito's operandi.
Yahtzee.
But like, his thing is, he just like sucks blood out of the bodies, and I understand that they were working with, a very small TV budget, and most of that went into the Mosquito costume. But I sort of felt if he's draining all the fluid out of these bodies, they should be
like withered,
deflated,
they should be husks. They should be more husk-like than they are. But it's just people falling over.
Yeah, with a puncture wound with a lot of blood. blood out of them.
Yeah, they look really good for bodies that have been completely drained of blood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they look surprisingly lively.
Yeah. Eventually, Officer, what the fuck's his name?
Parker
Lewis.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Officer Can't Lose.
Yeah.
Officer Dumbo Drop.
Yeah, he does see the Mosquito at one point and shoots him. The Mosquito is bulletproof, and
Well, but that's true to life too.
Yeah,
because if there's one thing we know, mosquitoes are bulletproof. How do I know this? Have you ever tried to kill a mosquito with a bullet?
Yeah.
Very hard to do.
I've
Very
never
hard to pull
done
off.
it.
Every time I've attempted it, very hard to pull off.
Never
Mosquito has
got
always
one.
gone away.
Yeah.
Never got one.
Yeah, so that's true.
But
That was true to life.
I love the sequence where he's, yeah, I know, it's really hard to believe, but I want you to put out an APB for a giant mosquito. Like,
Hey, come on, man. Tell me, what do you want me to do? I can't put out an APB on a 7-foot.
Yes, you can. You can, Charlie, and you're going to. All right, that's an order, or else more people are gonna die.
it's a goddamn Mosquito Man!
All right, fine, I'll do it. I love you.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, it's like, do you need to put out the APB for that? Like, we have a dangerous giant mosquito on the loose as opposed to all the friendly giant mosquitoes that are walking around the
racially
street.
profiling the Mosquito Men.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you just wait and call that. Oh yeah, what if they brought in the wrong mosquito?
Yeah.
He's like, I swear to God, I just didn't leave. I left
This
my
is abuse
wallet
of
at home,
justice,
but
man.
I have
This is
ID.
bullshit.
I swear,
Yeah.
I was at dinner with my wife last night.
Yeah.
You can ask anyone.
You got an alibi, sir?
This is species profiling. I'm a mayfly for starters. All right, I'm completely harmless.
Mhm.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Hearing from my lawyer.
I like to think, because when I looked this up, the guy who wrote the screenplay in the same year also came out with Shark Man and Snake Man. I like to imagine, because all of these movies,
I would like to see the Man extended universe.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I'm sure it exists.
And then in the 10th movie, they all have to join together to stop a global threat or
oh my
something.
God, it's the MCU, the Man Cinematic Universe.
Because all of these movies came out in the same year, I have to imagine, I'd like to see at least just one more of them, because I will bet you anything that if we watch Sharkman or whatever, the opening scene is going to be that exact same research facility. It won't be any different. It's just, it's all like, okay.
Do you think it's a different, like, death row inmate that's, like, got a sentence reduced to be, like, a weird animal-man hybrid?
Do you think they just sort of mad-libbed these scripts, a lot of them?
Oh,
like,
for
you know what I
sure.
mean? Just take out Mosquito, insert Shark, run the scene again.
Yeah.
Take out Shark, insert
Replace
Snake,
this line.
run the scene again. Right, we have 3 movies.
Yeah.
Just like that.
When do they get to the hospital? Like, why does she go to the hospital? She collapses.
Because she's turning into a mosquito.
She's turning into a mosquito, yeah.
She's not really, she's not growing gross body parts or anything
Her
like that.
eyes keep changing color, and that's about it.
She keeps seeing things in Virtual Boy vision.
Yeah, Predator
Everything's
vision.
red and black.
Mm-hmm.
And her mosquito transformation is 20 times sexier than his. You know, she's always in lingerie and writhing on the ground.
Speak for yourself.
She doesn't grow a prawn arm or anything. Like, she stays relatively
she's always
normal.
she's always hot, no matter what happens.
That's why it did nothing for her.
Yeah.
That's why the entire time she's just writhing around in lingerie. I'm just over here going, ugh, gross. Give me that prawn arm.
Yeah, that's fair. It was very erotic.
So when Mosquito Man, when she goes to the hospital, I guess that's what their chance to bait Mosquito Man, because they know he's going to go towards her.
Yeah.
Do they? I feel like only she knows fact that, because she says that I wrote that down, mosquitoes don't have emotion.
Mosquitoes don't have emotions or motivations, Tom. They're simple creatures.
And what do they want?
2 things. To feed and...
What?
to mate. He wants to mate, Tom. That's why he's looking for me.
How can he know?
He knows. I felt him outside the restaurant. I felt him back at the lab. He's coming, Tom. He's just waiting.
They
eat
and mate.
I think I might be half mosquito.
I like how she had to fucking spell that out to him, too. So, like, he calls for the SWAT team to protect her or whatever.
This was a great line, too, that we all laughed at.
Alright, I want SWAT here in 10 minutes. You got that? 10 minutes? Or sooner. And you make sure they bring enough AP rounds for everybody here. Armor piercing? Just do it.
You would think that...
Or the
yes,
objection might be, like, to bringing in the SWAT team. Like, that seems like overkill.
Yeah, do we need the SWAT team, sir? No, his objection is at the time frame.
10 minutes?
Oh, man.
Because SWAT needs at least 12.
Because it's not like the SWAT team's whole purpose is to get to a place as fast as humanly possible.
Like first responders do, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Also, like, I just want to take a second to acknowledge, with most of these terrible type of horror movies, these people exist in a world where you're aware that someone is approaching you from behind, but you refuse to look at that person until they are directly
on
behind
top.
you.
Yeah, until the moment where they can pounce.
That tropey death happens 7 times where someone's like, "Oh, hey, what you doing? Oh, you just hanging out? Oh, right on, pal. That's cool." Blah blah blah, and then turns around, boom.
I like how we all agreed that like this SWAT team should be able to handle the Mosquito.
One Mosquito.
100%.
You know, because they all have the armor-piercing rounds or whatever, and there's a lot of the SWAT members, and they're all like trained professionals. But no, Mosquito just flies in and kills them all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh god, I had a point. Oh, what was I going to say? It was something about, what were you just saying? About...
I was just saying they exist in a world where nobody looks at people walking up behind them.
I mean, that's a trope you see in monster movies of all...
Quality.
Yeah, I mean, that happens in Cloverfield, for fuck's sake.
That happens in Alien.
That happens in Jurassic World. Mm-hmm. Giant fucking T-Rexes will just be behind you, and everyone will be like, "Oh, where the fuck did that come from? It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, goddammit! How did you not notice that?
Much like that, this thing is the filthiest motherfucker who ever lived.
And I was going to say...
Mosquito's not even that big, so,
He's man-sized, but, like, the difference between, like, all those movies that you mentioned in this is that they do it really effectively, the sneak attacks. This thing looks like garbage when it's walking around.
Except when it's tiptoeing.
Yeah.
That was cute. That was always like...
It is very tiptoey.
Of course, the ironic thing is that a regular-sized mosquito is...
They don't walk.
Well, but it's actually fairly hard for a regular-sized mosquito to sneak up on someone. Mm-hmm. You can hear that motherfucker coming from a mile away, where you can just hear like the... And that's the other thing, is like, Mosquito never buzzed.
No buzz.
No. He fluttered like a pigeon.
He fluttered. He like, the sound effects for Mosquito really... It was either like one of two things. It was, they had a pig, and they were just like squeezing him, and putting like a microphone next to him. Or it was someone making the noise like
a lion roar.
Like if Tigger from Winnie the Pooh had like a chest cold.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was weird. He was either purring or squealing. Two noises that mosquitoes famously do not make.
Yeah, and also there was a point in the movie kind of jumping ahead, there's one in the movie near the end where she is trying to lure Mosquito away because Mosquito's about to kill Bobo Jamie Lannister.
She
does an almost T-Rex-like shriek. Yeah. And I was unaware that mosquitoes made such a sound.
So, Mosquito Man, like, just clears out the entire hospital of all the guards, all the SWAT. So, Officer Parker Lewis goes in there with his big shotgun. He's the one that... he does Mosquito Man in... Alright, this is one of my favorite lines in the movie.
It's not even that good.
Because
you like it.
It's a fucking terrible, like, so, like, action movie, you gotta have, like, your one-liner when you're doing the big kill.
That great zinger.
Yeah. It's not easy to cut, like, when the premise is your monster is a Mosquito Man, there's not a lot you can say. You can say, hey, suck on this. Or like, hey, buzz off. This guy chooses to say, hey, Mosquito! Thinking he was so fucking clever.
I mean, that's the first part of this, and then you follow that up with something else.
Yeah. But, like, no, like that's why...
Mosquito. Okay, see, I got nothing.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, because he said the only two ones that make sense.
True. Yeah.
Buzz off and suck on this.
But it's funny to me that, like, this movie is called Mosquito Man or Mosquito. I'm sure the filmmakers really hope that, like, it just goes by Mosquito Man because they're so fucking proud of Mosquito for their dry, cool action one-liner.
Well, and in the world of the movie, I imagine Bobo Jamie Lannister must be like,
you keep using that word.
Really killed it.
Low-key Jamie Lannister.
Maybe explain to the people
like
at
rent.
home what Bobo, because I needed you to explain that to me as well.
Bobo just means like a low-rent, cheap version of, he's like a bad version of Jamie Lannister.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the genealogy of Bobo? Where does Bobo come? Where did you? Thank you. Yes. Where did that come from?
I honestly have no idea.
Did you make it up?
I didn't.
You're trying to make it a thing.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to make it.
Stop trying to make Bobo a thing.
Stop trying to use our podcast to get this thing going. Anyways, like
people are going to start calling me Bobo Paul Giamatti now. That's great.
Bobo Derek Huff, one of the featured dancers from Dancing with the Stars. People say I look like him.
Oh.
Yeah, taught him everything he knows. Anyways. Anyways, like, yeah, Parker Lewis does him in, but it doesn't work. Like, he blows up the gas tanks near the Mosquito, destroys an entire floor of the hospital, but like...
he would have perished.
I mean, Parker Lewis is not bulletproof, and he survives.
So does Mosquito.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's like, he's
survive.
bulletproof, so he wouldn't survive. But like, if Parker Lewis is going to survive an explosion like that, of fucking course, like a Mosquito's going to survive.
Everybody knows that mosquitoes are very flame retardant.
Yes, and to go off of that, everybody also knows that Parker Lewis can't lose.
Yeah,
so
Parker can't die.
Now, okay, I'm going to ask a question that someone will probably give me like an obvious answer for, but it was something that I thought of. So yeah, he does the Jaws thing, where he tries to kill Mosquito by blowing up the pressurized air tanks behind him. Why does a hospital need pressurized air tanks?
Oxygen, like in case someone needs
Right.
air, like for respiratory
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
That actually really checks out.
Yeah. Is it flammable like that? When you...
How do I fucking look like?
Actually, I know for a fact that it is, because my grandma, when she was in a nursing home, actually
when you had to go
blew herself up.
When you went to
she was also fighting a mosquito.
Yeah, when you had to...
all right, fair enough.
When you went through this, did you have to shoot the oxygen
I
tanks?
did. No, actually my grandma was in a care home towards the end of her life, and she smoked her whole life, and so she was on oxygen all the time from the smoking. And one evening, she was always trying to find ways to bump cigarettes, and I don't know how, but she somehow got a cigarette and a lighter, and she went over to the window in her room and opened the window up and lit the cigarette and kind of blew her face up.
Oh god!
Whoa!
Yeah,
Holy
she lived
shit.
through that.
Oh,
She
God.
lived through that. But,
Holy
yeah,
crap.
she blew herself up a little bit. So
Good
I know
Lord.
for a fact that those oxygen tanks are pretty flammable.
Zach's answer to my question was better than I'm not going to let... Yeah, I know
No,
for a
I didn't
fact
give
that
you-
my grandma fucking blew her...
And that didn't
Oh my
do
God.
her in. Wow.
Yeah,
Good job, Grandma.
she lived through that.
Was there like an orderly in the room, and right before she lit her cigarette, he went, "Hey, Mosquito."
So Dr. Sindel
Dr.
goes
Sindel.
back to the lab, which is still operational, even though the head guy died and all the research got pulled and everything. But it's still operational somehow. She goes there to release the mosquitoes, because it's her life's work, and she knows the virus got cured through it.
Yeah.
She goes there to be incredibly irresponsible.
Yeah.
No, but she saves everyone. That's the whole thing. Is she releases the mosquitoes, and we see in the code of the film that the West Nile times 10 virus has eradicated.
Mm-hmm.
And really, if anything, her evil misogynist boss at the beginning of the movie was right, because he was saying, these mosquitoes look great. We should just
Release them.
We should just release them immediately. She said, no, we need to do more human testing.
Yeah,
So
yes,
what you're saying is he was the real hero all along.
Yeah, if she had listened to her, if she had listened to the man, Mosquito
Lady
never
scientist
would have
would have
happened. So
But she also goes there to kill
we're
her.
gonna add lady scientists to the list of everyone that's pissed off from this episode.
That's right. Fuck you, lady scientist. You're on the list. Right there with Terrence Malick.
She goes there to kill herself as well, because she doesn't want to be mated with, which is a very fair point.
Good point.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But Mosquito shows up there anyways. So does Parker Lewis.
Because he keeps.
Can I interject to ask a question?
Of course.
So there's 3 times before this where Mosquito kind of has her cornered and alone, and then just leaves her alone. Yeah. So is he I'm not gonna fuck you till you turn? Is that his whole thing?
That's what they say, but I think he's also waiting for consent.
I think Mosquito wants some consent.
He's a gentle Mosquito.
Sure, he's a murderous psychopath, but hey, no means
when it comes to that, I also have to note that in the moment when she stole the cop car and left the hospital, I wrote, "Fuck! I thought this was gonna be the last set piece for sure. Now we have to go somewhere else again."
So, what happened? No, they give chase, and she eventually bug zaps Mosquito to death with her in tow. She electrocutes them both.
She electrocutes both of them.
She's a way more proactive character in this movie than Parker Lewis.
I wrote in the notes, she's the real hero of this film. I mean...
She saves all of humanity, first of all.
She saves all of humanity, she kills Mosquito, and her zingers are on point.
And this...
She actually gets a zinger in there.
Time to Fry, which really, it was another missed opportunity, because clearly it should have been too bad, you will fry.
Oh boy, another Mortal Kombat reference.
I would try and drop that into every movie if I had like an amazing, terrible catchphrase that. I would do that all the time.
She does all this as she's like turning into like the mosquito monster. She is a great hero character.
I also would like to just note, for the record, that Jaime Lannister has another failed zinger. He has another opportunity.
Is Jaime Lannister in this movie?
Bobo Jaime Lannister.
Oh, Bobo Jaime. Okay, because you didn't clarify, so I didn't know.
We call him Parker Lewis around here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So Parker Lewis has another opportunity.
Oh, because earlier in the movie he has like the taser,
and that says, "Hey, Mosquito," right? And it's a terrible zinger. He has another opportunity to get a zinger in there and he approaches Mosquito from behind. He has the element of surprise. He has the jump on him, and all he says is, "Hey, remember this?"
And then tases him again.
Because he tased him earlier in the movie.
It would have been a better catchphrase than the one he did before. His timing was off. Because what he did was, he yelled the catchphrase, "Hey, remember this," and then he jumped onto Mosquito's back, and then he tased him. So
certainly enough time
the assumption there is that Mosquito should remember him jumping on his back.
Yeah.
Whereas he should have jumped on his back,
said,
whispered, "Hey, remember this," and then tased him.
Yeah.
It would have played a little bit
But
better.
in that time, Mosquito could certainly have been alerted and gone out of the way, and then Parker Lewis would have just...
Oh, Mosquito
he would
has
just face planted.
Mosquito has all the time in the world to do whatever he wants.
And people are giving up the element of surprise left, right, and center in this movie. And like when they could just shoot Mosquito, instead are jumping out, revealing themselves, and going, "Hey," or "Stop right there," or something. And totally.
Oh, that guy! The guy in the park when he catches Mosquito, like just stalking Dr. Sindel. He's like,
Yo, sucker. Park's closed after dark unless you want to... Whoa.
and he's just like a mugger.
Yeah.
Like,
and he gets within about 2 feet of Mosquito before he realizes
it's
this
a Mosquito.
doesn't seem to be a normal man, but a giant 7-foot mosquito.
Since we're back at the park anyway, here's a question that I want to ask that is on the same line as my question surrounding the air tanks at hospitals. Have you ever, obviously here in Vancouver, homelessness is a big issue. I'm sure both of you have traveled around the world in your lives, but have you ever once seen a garbage can fire?
No,
with
not
homeless
outside,
people,
not outside of a
huddled
movie,
around
actually.
right?
Yeah.
I think that's purely a movie thing.
I think it is a movie.
Because first of all, you don't see big metal garbage cans anywhere.
Yeah.
So maybe it was like a thing in the past. Maybe they did it in the 70s when that was like the style of garbage can everywhere. But
I don't think it's so much a style as sort of like a necessity for like what it was like in like those poor environments of the 70s and 80s, you know.
But also, it seemed like a lovely story.
I don't think it was a stylistic choice. I think they had to do what they needed to do to survive, man.
It seemed like a lovely summer night.
Yeah.
I don't think you need that fire.
it is one of those. It's a shame because it's about people living on the fringes of society and they have no homes. But it is one of like those movie tropes that makes me a little bit wistful every time I see a garbage can fire. It's all like, oh, that old chestnut.
Yeah, that's the life for me.
Yes, riding the rails with my
seeing the country
with my rucksack on the back.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
my bindle full of beans and.
I'm not a stabbing hobo. I'm a singing hobo.
So the movie ends with this wraparound scene of Parker Lewis writing up his police report, which
reads like a short story.
It's like a paragraph, and he prints it out on one page, and it ends with like, "Oh yeah, she saved all of our lives."
It's really amazing that there's not like an actual form to fill out in any way. Name.
I'm like, how's he going to explain this to?
Like the statements you took from people, he just wrote it up in a paragraph.
The way that it came out of the printer too, it looked like it was that type of printer paper where they were reusing it because it looked like there was stuff on like the side that there's not supposed to be stuff on the other side.
Well, that was
like some kids.
The Sharkman write-up.
Yeah, there's a whole department.
He turns it around, and the main character of Sharkman has also written
Parker Lewis hybrid man like division.
He goes to the one printer in like the cop office, and like the hero from Sharkman comes over and is all like, "Hey, I think you have my Sharkman story there. Oh, sorry, this is my Mosquito Man story there.
My apologies.
Wowski, I want you on that Snake Man case."
But also, at the end of the movie, at the beginning of the flashback, and at the end, Bobo Jaime Lannister's hair, I'm keeping it. His hair is longer, I think, to indicate the passage of time, right? So it's like, this all happened long time ago, and it took you 6 months to getting around to your one paragraph write-up about it.
He's really lazy.
He was grieving.
Yeah.
He lost the woman that he loved.
The only woman he ever loved.
The only woman that he ever loved. Which brings us to the last line of the movie, which was a very odd last line of the movie.
In the end, I lost everything I ever cared about. The only woman I ever loved died saving us all. But as with every ending, there is always a new beginning.
And then the movie ends.
And then he just
It's a sad, it's a sad ending to my story. I lost the woman I loved.
But sometimes an ending is a beginning. An ending to one story is a beginning to another.
And sometimes the ending of one story
whatever the
is the beginning of Snake Man.
Credits.
I mean, oh my god.
Parker Lewis will return in Snake Man.
Yeah. But yeah, if you say a line like, sometimes an ending means a new beginning, that's
when Nick Fury recruits you to be in
You need to set something up. He went back to his apartment and he has like a mosquito infant that he's taking care of.
Oh boy.
You know? Then he opens like a vein on his arm, so all like, it's okay, baby.
And on such a tiny level, it even could have, because the last thing he mentions is like the woman that he loves. It could have been as simple as like, he meets a woman and smiles at her, and they smile, and you're like, oh, maybe he's finding love again. And
I'm ready to move on.
Exactly.
The woman I loved turned into a horrible mosquito person.
Imagine that first date. So tell me about your last relationship. Well,
I kind of got trust issues after my woman turned into a mosquito.
Check, please.
She tried getting with a psychopathic murderer who was also a mosquito.
Maybe
they were involved in the same accident.
Yeah, maybe he ends up dating the woman who survived Sharkman.
It's not my blood!
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So much crossover in the MCU.
Yeah.
I'd also just like to point out that we watched this movie on YouTube.
Oh, and the shittiest
is never
quality.
a good sign. If no one cares when the entire movie uncut is on YouTube, it generally means it's a piece of shit.
You guys would never know if the creature effect or the makeup effects were any good in this movie. I had seen this movie on DVD before. I think I lent it to my friend and never got it back. I'm not asking it back. But
do you remember then? Because you went to the bathroom and we were sitting here and there was a scene when she was near the end of the movie where she was back in the lab and she was looking at her reflection in the mirror and we couldn't tell whether or not her face was morphing or if it was just the YouTube video we were watching.
The artifacting.
We genuinely could not tell.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a really good special effect.
Oh, it was a really good. It sucks that we missed it.
It was the highlight of the movie. Yeah.
God damn it! It would have made this whole thing
really
so much better. Okay.
Really
is there anything else we haven't mentioned yet?
The only other thing that I really noted was the part when they're starting to get freaky. Bobo, Jamie Lannister, and Dr. Sindel are getting freaky on the bed. And he gets a phone call, and he just whips his hand up, and his phone is already in his hand. So, do you just fuck with your phone in your hand?
He was recording it.
Always ready to go with that cell phone?
I may have had sex with someone who consistently had a phone in her hand.
Was she Instagramming?
Was she bored?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, Zach, thanks for being on the show.
Or was she turning into a mosquito? And this is all of this is a very true to life kind of movie.
Yeah. She turned into some kind of bloodsucker. I'm very, very lonely.
Oh.
Hey, since we're getting you to explain sayings that we're hearing for the first time, what does Yahtzee mean in this situation? That's another thing that I've never heard before.
Have you ever played Yahtzee?
I haven't. I really want to. It's on the bucket list. One day I'll
How
get around
many catchphrases are you trying to incorporate?
Again, this is not even my thing.
Yeah.
It's just I heard someone say it once and I thought it was fun to use Yahtzee when somebody's got a good zinger.
I want to read your bucket list. It's just skydive, go to the pyramids, swim with the sharks, play Yahtzee.
I've done those first three things. I want to get around to exciting things like playing Yahtzee.
Right,
I have a 500-piece puzzle I'm going to finish.
Make Bobo a thing. Make Yahtzee a thing.
Play Yahtzee while exclaiming Yahtzee.
Yahtzee. Make now we're cooking with gas a thing. Make too cool to fool a thing.
And make Bobo Yahtzee a thing. Bobo Yahtzee is Uno.
Yeah.
Make Bobo Fett a thing.
Oh, jeez.
Which is just a cheap-ass version of Boba Fett.
Which
really terrible
Which I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure that's going to be in the next Star Wars movie anyways.
Boba Fett.
Oh, there is a Bobo version of Boba Fett. He was called Jango Fett.
Yeah, it was called Jango Fett.
Anything else you want to bring up in this movie?
Just the fact that I was waiting for the entire movie for Dr. Sindel to turn into a mosquito person herself, and
they would duke it out.
The best we got was as her transformation went on, she just ended up looking like late 90s, early 2000s Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her nose kind of sort of blended in with her face, and her hair was all unkept, and she was all pale.
Yeah.
And
That
just,
was the 20 times more erotic thing that I was talking about.
Right.
That was when it really hit home for me. I was like, wow, I'm probably going to watch this again later in the privacy of my own place.
Well,
I was trying to think of like a Mosquito in the mirror joke, but
well, would you guys recommend MosquitoMan?
nah.
Yeah. This is the third time I've watched this movie, and I'm done. I'm out.
It's not
You give
like,
me shit for some of the movies I've seen 3 times in a row. I can't believe you've seen this movie.
I can't believe this is the third time I've seen this movie. Once was enough.
It's like, it's not enough of anything to watch. Like, it's not truly bad enough to be super watchable. It's not super fun enough to be watchable. It doesn't even take itself seriously enough to be funny on the level of a movie that's trying really hard. Like, it just doesn't work.
It takes itself seriously, like, in the cop scenes, like, when it absolutely shouldn't. It should, like, fucking relax a little bit. But yeah, like, none of the monster kills are, like, entertaining or funny or creative enough.
No.
You just, like, stab somebody, and, like, that's really it.
Yeah, we got, like, three variations of kills, except for that one lop across the head.
A lot of those titles I was mentioning in the first half of the podcast, like Octopus 2 and like Crocodile Death Swamp. I watched a lot of those movies back in the day, back when Blockbuster was still a thing. My friends and I, we were all about that. We always got the cheapy looking monster movies, and I can tell you, I mean, that was like 2 decades ago. I can tell you, if you've seen one, you've seen all of them. They're all exactly the same movie, which is why they all have the same screenwriter. So yeah, they all literally, this Boaz Davidson, he wrote one monster movie screenplay.
And has been milking that for an entire career.
He just whites out the monster, and then he writes in, and I know that computers exist. I know Word is a thing.
But Boaz Davidson
uses whiteout. He's got shells full of it.
Yeah. He's like, oh, what am I going to use for like the zinger this time? Like, hey, Shark Man.
Hey, regular octopus.
Yeah.
Turn around. Hey, hey, Snake Man, fuck you!
Since they've just been using the same screenplay and changing the monster,
find a replacement.
You would like to think that they'd at least dial that screenplay into a place where it's like a passable screenplay on its own, but even that
is a passable screenplay.
Terrible,
it's a perfectly passable screenplay for the type of movie this is.
Yeah, very cookie cutter.
But you think if they were doing this over and over, they'd do a little refinement. They'd turn this into like the Good Will Hunting of, monster movie screenplays.
It's not your fault. I ate all of those people. I drained out their blood. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, Mosquito. It's not your fault.
It's an incredibly lazy film.
It is.
All right, I guess that wraps up another thing. Zach, thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Do you
regret your time here?
I actually wrote like 3 times in my notes, like, I truly regret asking to come on this podcast now. I literally did, like, 3 times.
We lost our one and only fan, guys.
This is not anywhere close to the worst movie we've watched on this show.
Wow.
Like, not even remotely.
Well, your self-loathing is evident.
Yeah.
In your movie choices, clearly.
And also just in my personal life.
Well, that's
to anyone who knows me, to anyone who talks to me for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? For what it's worth, after 5 minutes of this movie, I hated you too. So, we're on the same page.
Yeah. I hate you too, baby.
Right.
It's been a while since you guys saw each other last, and it's gonna be another while before you can forgive him.
Do you have anything either to plug coming up for yourself, or barring that, have you seen or enjoyed anything recently that you would recommend to the people listening?
No, I don't really have anything to plug for myself in terms of things that I've been watching recently that I think are really great that people should watch. I'm watching this show called Hardy Bucks. I don't know if you've ever watched it.
Hardy Bucks.
It is
Never
like
heard of it.
it's like the Scottish
Irish Trailer Park Boys.
It's like the Irish Trailer Park Boys, basically.
Oh, I'm into that.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's very, very funny.
Yeah.
Like
watch it with the subtitles. It's very hard to follow. Their accents are quite thick.
I still feel like there are things that I don't get just contextually because I've never been to Ireland. I don't live there. Yeah. So there are certain things I don't get, but generally speaking, it is hilarious. That and Barry Season 2. We watched that.
Oh, nice. Oh, I have one more episode to go of Season 1 of that, and then I need to jump into Season 2. Yeah, Barry's very good. It's Barry's Barry's very relatable.
Oh, yeah.
To being a working actor.
To an actor with self-loathing issues.
Yes. Yes.
Barry is very relatable.
And also, I kill people. Jameson.
What? What was that last part?
Barry's relatable? Very relatable?
Barry's
Self-loathing?
Oh, yeah.
Barry's very
starting
relatable.
actor? Yeah.
Yeah, Jameson, you doing anything? You watching anything?
Yeah, I just wrapped up the latest season of Black Mirror. Yeah, but no, there's a couple of. I think Sherry and I are going to start watching The Boys at one point. Quite good.
I might need to start a new email account so I can get Amazon Prime for the third time, just so I can watch The Boys.
Yeah,
Amazon keeps getting me because I don't want Amazon Prime, but it keeps adapting my favorite shit, and then I have to go and I have to see what that's all about.
I know.
They did it with Preacher, they did it with American Gods, now they're doing it with The Boys, and I really like The Boys, so yeah.
The Boys adapted? That was
it was a comic.
It was a graphic novel.
Oh, okay. I did not know.
No, really good graphic novel.
Yeah, but like if superheroes went bad, but the thing is it's
crazy dark.
It's sort of like a play on like, oh, what if like Superman and the Justice League were all kind of bad? But I think my problem with it is, as a DC fan, there is no good DC movie out kind of recently. Like, the Justice movie really kind of sucked.
Shazam was good.
Shazam was good, but like, Man of Steel, there hasn't been like a good Superman to compare like an evil Superman to. That's sort of my big beef with it.
No, but Man of Steel is a good evil Superman movie.
But I want a good Superman movie.
Let's fucking watch the Richard Donner one.
Oh, fine.
Again for the 30th time.
It is delightful.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks for listening, everyone. Join us again next week for more tales of horror and suspense.
Listener, beware, you're in for a scare.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep doing that until R.L. Stein tells us to stop.
Goosebumps still suing us.
Yeah.
Goosebumps still sending us cease and desist letters.
Hey, Goosebumps, fuck you.
That's
you're
right.
on the list.
All right,
Goosebumps, you're on the list.
So what is that? Liberals, lady scientists,
and Terrence Malick.
Terrence Malick, and
now
now R.L.
Goosebumps.
Stein. Good lord.
And us, I believe, Kaz, we're on the list.
Yes,
you guys are on the
we're
list.
And you listening at home, you're on the list. Fuck you. Good night, everybody.
I was gonna say we love you. Fuck you.